Hi everyone, this is Kevin from Supernatural Selection. Are you an independent creator? Do you have a webcomic or an Etsy store? Do you 3D print things? Or are you just looking to get some word out for your Discordian cabal with social terrorism? Well, we'd love to help. And David, I believe you've got some details about how we can help.
Why, certainly. If you go to supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact, that is supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact, you can learn how to advertise with us.
That's right. I believe the rate is $2 per episode. You can't beat that with a stick.
I mean, trust me, we've tried.
Yeah, that's cheap. That's literally cheaper than dirt.
Mm-hmm. And best of all, if you're not sure how to write an ad, we'll do it for you. We'll even record it.
Absolutely. Just let us know what you need in the ad, and we'll be happy to do that for you.
And again, that URL is supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact.
And now, back to the show. Which is good. Why we're recording is very important for the whole podcast thing. That's what I've been told. Hello, and welcome to Supernatural Selection. I'm your host, Kevin. With me this week are Mike the Skeptic. Mike, how are you?
I am fine.
Yeah?
Yes, I burnt my mouth earlier on some refried beans, but other than that.
But what a delicious way to do it.
They were fine. I mean, there was store-bought canned stuff, so.
I have poor taste in food, so that's fine for me. I mean, hell, I had good Taco Bell this week.
At least it had, like, you know, meat and cheese in it, so.
Yes.
So it was more than refried beans.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but the beans burned them.
It was like 3 layers of a Taco Bell, like, beefy 5-layer burrito.
It was a 3-layer inferno.
It was my my taco side.
There you go.
Side to my tacos.
And we've got Mr. David Davis to also talk about tacos. How are you, David?
Talking tacos on Thursday. All right. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's our new
doing well.
podcast, Talking Tacos.
We could do a food show.
We could, and
we
then
won't.
we'd all get fatter.
It would just be hungry the whole show.
No, it'd just be us talking about food. We don't actually eat it.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the thing. I already do that on Spooky Dice Bag, so I don't know if I could handle 2 podcasts of that.
Right. You don't have the room for it.
Right. I do not. So, not a lot of housekeeping this week, which is good because we have got something special happening now. We got a package in from Andy from Flagged for Content
Oh, yeah.
today. And I'm excited. We're going to open it here live on MP3 or whatever format.
Live on tape.
And I'm pulling the thing on the envelope. I don't know if y'all could hear that.
I did. I heard it over the headphones, so.
All right. So, being Andy, this is, of course, 2 flags. Both ostensibly for me, but Mike, you're going to get one of them.
Okay.
And when I give it to you, I want you to flip it over and explain to everyone what is on the flag, and then I'll describe mine, okay?
All
So
right.
I'm going to pass this over to you.
I'm
There is-
seeing
there
a
is
lot
a-
of yellow.
There's an image on the other side at the top.
Okay, let's see. Oh, it's a riff on the Gadsden flag, but with Bigfoot.
Yes, and
Bigfoot, don't tread on me.
and what has Bigfoot got in his hands?
So in his left hand, he has some form of assault rifle.
Mm-hmm.
In his right hand, he has a pistol.
Yes. It is a dangerous Sasquatch.
I don't know. I mean, I think a Sasquatch by himself might be a little more dangerous.
Sure.
Because I don't know if he could know how to shoot the guns. I don't know how good his marksmanship
Well,
is.
he's got fucking thumbs, so he can do it.
Well, it'd
yeah,
be
I mean,
like that. It'd be like that panel in Hellboy. That monkey has a gun.
Oh, God, I love that.
Yeah.
Is that a monkey? He's got a gun! Yeah.
It's Bigfoot tactical lightweight polyester 355 feet.
Yeah. So mine is jet black and has the Patterson Gimlin walk as a cutout of an American flag. And also says, "Don't tread on me." And it is a Bigfoot USA lightweight polyester 3x5. Andy, I cannot thank you enough for these flags. These are great.
Yeah. Look, this one will go very nicely next to the "Don't step on Sneck" flag I have.
Yeah, no step on snack.
Now, where's my flag?
You see, that's the thing. I feel a little bad.
No, it's okay. I've got no place. Like, I had my straw hat flag from One Piece, and my cat went after it. So it's like, nope, no flags for me.
See, we've got a project room we're going to set up soon.
Yeah,
Perfect
after
place.
our roommate removed out.
Perfect place to hang these flags and the laser kiwi flag.
Yes. And like I said, I also already have a "Don't step on Snack," so there'll be 4 flags.
Yes.
Might not even actually have room for all 4 flags. We shall see.
I mean, hell, we might end up having to go to a flag convention ourselves just because of the sheer number of flags.
You can start your own flag podcast.
Oh, God, no. I can't wait to get back on his podcast, though, and do another Vexicryptid thing. Guys, we all 3 need to be on an episode at some point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, this week, we have got something incredibly stupid to discuss. As usual.
There's so much stuff in the world today to choose from.
Now, this week, we're going to be talking about one of those aliens that allegedly hung out with the government. And unlike EB1, who is, the gray that came down at Roswell, this guy has more in common with the Contact D movement than the abduction phenomenon.
Sorry.
And I won't lie, it wasn't easy looking into this boob.
So you said EB1. Is that any relation to UB40?
It is not.
Yeah.
But, because part of the problem is there's a fairly popular band by the same name. So I kept having to sift through music videos and fan sites. This week, we're talking about Valiant Thor, a Venusian sent by Jesus to save us from nukes.
Sure.
Now, either of you guys ever heard of this before I subjected you to it before the show?
I mean, you've probably mentioned it in the past before. But not really. And I'm sure some kook show has probably mentioned Valiant Thor before. Because it sounds familiar. I wonder if this is where Stargate got their Thor alien from.
Maybe.
Not
well,
as cool
they
as
had
Stargate Thor.
I like Stargate Thor.
Well, no, I'm just saying the idea to have an alien named Thor.
I don't know. Maybe. But, David, how about you? What have you heard?
Like, I've heard of it, but I don't know too many details. Like, it's part of a certain branch of UFO stuff that we'll get into.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you, by the end of this, you're probably going to wish you could run back into blissful ignorance. So, before we get started, let me go over my sources. First off, Stranger at the Pentagon by Frank E. Stranges. Which, this fucking book, man, I got the audio book and a PDF. So, first off, the introduction of this book is by, quote, Dr. Harley Bird. There's no proof that this guy is actually the nephew of the famous Admiral Byrd. And he also claims to have been a top name in Project Blue Book with top security clearance by the age of 18.
Yeah.
Dude, even Art Bell was able to tear this guy a new one.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, secondly, the only other person who claims that this book is the absolute truth is Laura Eisenhower. That is Dwight D. Eisenhower's granddaughter. Now, unfortunately, she is a, quote, global alchemist, researcher, and intuitive astrologist, and claims to be opening psychic stargates.
Well, I mean, everyone knows alchemy was the family business for the Eisenhowers, so I don't see why we're I don't see why we're hung up on this. I also want to point out that like Frank E. Strange's and Dr. Harley Bird just sound like Gotham City personalities.
They kind of do sound, especially Harley Bird just sounds like the guy that shot Batman's parents.
Like he would be a rival crime lord up against Oswald Cobblepot, you know what I mean?
And Falcone, yes.
Yeah, he would do different like bird-related crimes, but just different enough to separate him from the Penguin.
Strangely enough, both have to do with frigid temperatures. So, let's go ahead and get started, shall we?
Oh, didn't you have a couple other sources?
Did I? Oh, yes, you're right. Wow. Okay, see, new medication's kicking in. So, next source is Valiant Thor, Your Friendly Pentagon Alien by Brian Dunning for Skeptoid. Now, I used this article to dig into the truth about the author and to get the previous information about the two kooks that believe this shit. And lastly, The Story of Valiant Thor, The Man from Venus by Jim Rowley for Ranker.com. And that was just a good all-around source for the major facts behind the story and gave me just enough to want to actually try to read the book. So, good sources all around. Please don't read Stranger in the Pentagon.
It should have been Strangest at the Pentagon.
You would think.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got that much creativity, and we'll find out why. So, this entire thing starts in March 1957. Just outside of Alexandria, Virginia, a UFO landed about 14 miles from Pentagon Boulevard. And this was about 5 years after the infamous DC UFO flap in '52. So two policemen approach this ship with their guns drawn, because of course, when a ramp extends and a solitary man walks out to greet them. He was dressed in silver and gold lame, with a broad grin. Yes, of course. And this alien was to be known as Valiant Thor. Now, using the Venusian version of the power of positive thinking, Valiant Thor beamed his friendly intentions into the minds of the two cops before saying, in all seriousness, "Take me to your leader."
So he immediately began fucking with their thought meats, huh?
Yes. Now, I need to explain something about the power of positive thinking. I've read the book. It's by Norman Vincent Peale, came out in the 50s.
Did it help you think positive?
No. And let me explain, for those that don't know, this book is basically a how to think positive thing using the power of Jesus. The problem is, the book was rejected by both the psychological community and the religious community because it is self-hypnosis and extremely unhealthy to the human mind.
Ooh.
Oh, what's a little self-hypnosis between yourself and yourself?
Well, we're not going to go into that. But the Venusians have a version of it that makes them psychic, so here you are.
Just hypnotize yourself into psychic powers.
Yes. So these two cops, instead of gunning him down where he stood, invite him back into the back seat of their car, and they escort him into Washington, D.C., and they radio ahead to let everyone know they've got an alien coming with them.
Things also said by Border Patrol.
Ouch. So, once in D.C., every law enforcement agency and military division starts arguing and fighting over who's going to escort this handsome son of a bitch to meet Eisenhower. So again, using the Venusian power of positive thinking, Val dismisses all of them. And he chooses one poor Air Force commander to escort him all the way to Eisenhower. And man, this poor schmuck, I mean, as soon as they get to the Pentagon, this guy tosses back 2 full fucking tumblers of bourbon and starts talking like Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon, going like, why couldn't this happen on my day off?
Like, this sounds like the setup of a great sitcom or a road film.
You know, yeah, actually.
Like, get him to the Greek, but it's get him to the Pentagon.
Oh my God. Didn't they do that? Wasn't that the movie with Paul, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
So, reaching the Pentagon, Val was escorted to an office and mentally projected a fake ID badge to the security guards at every point and just walked straight into a fucking room with Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Okay, so we're dealing with Doctor Who now.
Yeah, you remember that one where he was in the Oval Office with Nixon?
Yeah, the psychic paper shit and...
Yeah. Mike, did you ever hear about this?
A little bit.
Yeah, like Nixon, the doctor's out there and it's like, what are you going to do, shoot me? And River goes, they're Americans. And he just, I'm sorry, don't shoot. So anyway, there sat Ike surrounded by security, and in walks this lantern-jawed freak dressed like an ex-member of ABBA. And Ike just gets up, walks around the desk, and shakes his hand and says, I have good feelings toward you. It's a very odd turn of phrase, don't you think?
Yeah.
Not, I have a good feeling about you, not, I like you, son, just the most awkward fucking way of saying the idea imaginable.
And yet we apparently liked Ike.
Well, we know Indiana Jones did. So, Ike asks the stranger his name, and, of course, he says his name is Valiant Thor. And Ike asks where he's from, and the following exchange occurs. It says, I come from the planet your Bible calls the morning and evening star. Venus? Yes, sir. Can you prove this? What do you constitute as proof? I don't know. Will you come to my ship? And then Ike proceeds to stammer his way out of visiting the ship due to security and saying maybe eventually, which does not happen, of course. Val then handed Ike a letter from the Venusian Central Command. Now, the letter was written in Venusian, but God Almighty himself gave Eisenhower the power to read just this letter. We'll be coming back to the letter soon because what happens next is amazing.
It's starting to sound like Joseph Smith and the Golden Plates.
This is not the last time we're going to be talking about the Mormons.
That's always, nobody ever expects the Mormons.
No. But into the middle of this, Richard Milhouse Nixon busts into the room and starts vigorously shaking Val's hand.
There's Nixon, Naroo!
Looking for who, Mike?
Bart Simpson.
Oh, God.
Milhouse.
Milhouse? So, Nixon just, you certainly caused a stir for an out-of-towner. Were you in on that UFO flap over Washington? You certainly had us all in a dither if you were.
I refuse to believe Nixon used the word flap outside of the context of his pants. Arrgh.
I refuse to believe he wasn't talking about his jowls. Expletive deleted.
I hope you all appreciate 40 minutes of Nixon noises.
Yep, that's what's coming. No, not really. Now, what is possibly the single least believable part of this book? Valiant Thor liked Nixon.
I mean, someone would have had to.
I guess he won an election eventually, but the book portrays Val's impression of Nixon as a charming and well-balanced man.
Okay, now you know it's fiction.
And I swear, and the only positive thing I can say about Nixon is that even he didn't really like Henry Kissinger.
Well, he also loved his dog Checkers, too.
Well, sure, but I mean, even that one British serial killer had a dog.
Mm-hmm.
So, during this meeting, Val informs them that Venus has been watching the Earth for thousands of years, and that they had already saved them from destruction once. So, Mike.
Yeah?
Can you tell us briefly about that whole idea of a nuke igniting the atmosphere, real quick?
So... See, I knew that was something I was supposed to look up. But the gist of it is I'm pretty sure there were like a few fringe scientists, just like there's always a few fringe scientists.
They're the best
that,
scientists.
when they're working on something they don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure I read somewhere once that among your real scientists, that was known to not be a problem. Essentially because, the atmosphere is like, it's like 60% nitrogen or something like that. There's a lot of nitrogen in the atmosphere, and nitrogen is a famously non-reactive gas.
Okay.
Like nitrogen is a confirmed bachelor. Nitrogen wants to be left alone. Like if you put nitrogen in a molecule, nitrogen really wants to get out of that molecule. That's why most of your best explosives have nitrogen in them, because it doesn't want to be there. It just wants to get out.
Okay.
Nitrogen is like one of the most stable single elemental gases there is.
So
it's a proud single late.
So Mike,
yeah,
would you equate this to like when everyone panicked over turning the Large Hadron Collider on, that it might make a black hole and destroy the universe?
Yes,
sort of like that.
Very similar.
Okay. Cool. Great. I'm glad you said that, because you're wrong. It turns out that that theory is completely true, and the only reason the Earth wasn't destroyed in 1945 was because Valiant Thor had a fleet of flying saucers surrounding the Earth to stabilize the atmosphere.
Oh, no.
I guess they were there during all the tests, and they've been there ever since.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, they had to... see that we were getting close to making a nuclear bomb, and before the first test, I'm trying to remember which one the first one was.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's the one that mutated SpongeBob, I'm sure.
No, actually, the first test was in Nevada.
Oh, lovely.
Wasn't they? I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Pretty sure we did the first test.
White Sands.
Yeah,
that's New Mexico.
Once we started getting into hydrogen bombs, we moved into the
ocean
because those are really big.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, Kevin, because it's always great when you get Mike and make him look like, and I quote Always Sunny in Philadelphia, a stupid science bitch.
Oh, I gotta watch more of that show. So, the Central Venusian Command sent Val to deliver this letter to Eisenhower to try and both save the Earth and to get us to join the Galactic Federation thing.
This is just the day the Earth stood still, but written by a moron.
You are not the first person to draw those conclusions, sir. You are not the first, and you will not be the last. So, this letter... Oh boy. So this letter made Eisenhower really nervous. It basically laid out the following things that Earth needed to do. All right?
Mm-hmm.
First, get rid of all nukes on the planet. Second, get rid of capitalism and become socialists. Third, set up a world government.
I mean... I'm not hearing anything really bad here.
Okay, well, number 4, turn all of our lives over to Jesus Christ.
Okay, now that's a bridge too far.
Yeah. Okay. Have I mentioned that every man, woman, and child on Venus is a Christian, possibly Baptist? Because that's gonna become a big thing real soon in this.
Wait, so I'm sure you'll get to Jesus getting to Venus.
Yeah.
I'll wait for that.
Okay.
So I did do a little more research, and there was also this postscript to the letter. It had this little weird bit at the end that read, "Don't come to the Capitol tomorrow."
What is it with you and school shootings with this letter? It's just a thing I picked up.
This isn't the only school shooting reference I make in this episode, by the way.
That's what has me horrified. Oh, man. So, Eisenhower was not thrilled by any of this. And, I mean, there's plenty of reasons why. I mean, it basically asks us to dismantle all societies and start over. I mean, think of the economic impact. But the big thing was Eisenhower and the others in the government that would become privy to this letter and read it felt that it would lead to people following Valiant and Jesus instead of the U.S. government. So, for the next 3 years, Eisenhower and company would tell Val, we're thinking about it. And Val would eventually decide to take another approach by the end of all this.
And that approach would be chronicled later in the Foster the People classic Pumped Up Kicks.
You son of a bitch! Oh my god. Yep, no, that's great. So, probably using the power of positive thinking again, Val was given an apartment to live in the Pentagon, where he would stay for the next 3 years.
This is the part that makes me the most angry. Fuck this guy.
Really? The part that he's living in the Pentagon using his psychic power of positive thinking?
Yeah, like he was given an apartment.
Yep. In the Pentagon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
getting an apartment alone is a feat these days. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And this was 57?
Yeah, and plus we know the Pentagon has a Taco Bell, so...
Well, I don't know that they did back then. It was probably like I can imagine like an Arby's for some reason.
Yeah, no, they've always had Taco Bell there. How else do you think they create weapons of mass destruction or
that's where
destruction?
It came from.
Yeah, exactly.
So, after seeing his quarters, Val was given a tour of the Pentagon and show labs and experiments. Mike,
Yeah.
is that a fucking thing in the Pentagon? Or is it mostly offices?
I'm pretty sure it's all administrative. I mean, sure, there's probably some, like, no, I can't even, speculating that there possibly could be something, but I don't think so, because you have to move shit in and out.
Yeah.
It's an urban area.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm going to guess it's just all administrative.
Okay. Well...
The only thing I know about the Pentagon is that the parking is in the rear, and that's through the comic Invincible. Every time they show the Pentagon, there's always a sign, parking in the rear.
Nice.
Yep.
So, Mike, once again, you're wrong, because they showed nuclear experiments and new technologies, which Val watched with a smug little smile of superiority, and honestly, everyone got a little pissed off at him over that.
You call that a doomsday device?
You primitive monkeys. So Valiant Thor would allow them to take his flight suit and experiment on it. The silver and gold lame.
Mm-hmm.
So they tried drilling through it with a diamond drill bit and cutting it with this newfangled thing called a laser. And nothing damaged it. And all the while Valiant Thor watched with this knowing grin.
This smug shit.
I swear.
Yeah, I have no idea when high-powered enough lasers had been made to actually cut through things, but damn sure wasn't in this time.
Wasn't in 57.
I'm pretty sure.
Now, did they test its resilience against liquid hot magma?
They did not test it against liquid hot magma. That's probably our second week running we've talked about magma. So, I couldn't help but notice during this part of the book that at no point did anyone perform experiments on Val himself. I mean, no piss test, no blood samples, no tissue samples, no fucking vivisection, no cutting him into pieces to view him with a fucking electron microscope, just nothing.
Well,
And
not true. He did offer them cum. Lots of cum.
Well, that's the Greys.
Not even an X-ray?
Not even an X-ray, Mike. And maybe, this is a theory, maybe it's because it was 1957 and he looked like a white Baptist. I don't know.
Yeah, he probably would have smugly smiled as they discovered his blood was made of, liquid gold or something.
I can fucking see it. That or it turns out he's where Baja Blast came from.
I was just going to say he's the volcano sauce from Taco Bell.
Well, we're back to Taco Bell again, and that's why they've got one in the Pentagon.
It's all lining up, man. It's all lining up.
We're through the looking glass, people. So, The initial idea, of course, was to keep Valiant Thor under lock and key while he was there and only allow access to people with security clearance. But what they didn't know was that Valiant Thor could teleport.
Just like Mewtwo from Pokemon.
God damn it, David. Now, he could mentally disassemble his atoms, move them somewhere else, and then reassemble himself at will.
Sure.
Just like
I
Mewtwo.
can too.
Fucking Pokemon. Also, he would cloud men's minds when need be to make them think he had an ID badge to let him out. So, needless to say, Val got around. So, the most important trip to our story was made in April 1957. Since he just arrived March 1st, I guess he got real fucking bored real quick. And where does a bored Christian Venusian go? New Jersey, of course.
I was going to say a strip club.
I did say New Jersey. So, Val attended a UFO convention in the backyard of one Howard Menger, which that name's familiar to me for some reason, but I couldn't tell you why.
Doesn't sound like much of a convention. It's in the backyard.
It's early days, kind of like Comic-Con used to be just you and some friends watching kinetoscopes of Star Trek.
I guess.
But Valiant Thor did not attend this alone. Val attended with 3 of his crew from his ship being the Victor 1, which just sounds like something Gene Roddenberry would have come up with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised you didn't just call it the Jesus McJesus.
Yeah. Now, his crew, God damn it, Mike, consisted on this trip of 1 man and 2 women, and their names were Don, Jill, and Tanya. You know, Venusians. Yes. And can we talk for just a minute about the fact that those aren't aliases?
That's their actual
that
Christian names.
That is their Venusian names.
Venusian Christian names.
I never thought I'd hear names that made Goofus and Gallant sound spacey.
So, like, first they sound like they're members of a billiards team. Also, so these assholes were just chilling on the ship for like a month while Valiant was doing all the work?
Oh, yeah. And then for another 3 years. So, Valiant and company attended the gathering, and they got really mad at the way the public treated ufologists and contactee people. But they were pleased to see that these folks continued to pursue their beliefs. They made no secret of who they were at the event and where they came from. And one of the photos that gets taken at this thing is at the top of the dock, and it's our episode art. So please take a look at that.
It's black and white with emphasis on the white.
Yes. Mayonnaise man. So, at this point, a photographer named August Roberts took photos of Val and crew, thinking that he wasn't noticed. But he was. In fact, Valiant was counting on it for his future plans.
Ah, the Kardashian school of self-promotion.
Pretty much. Just be seen at the right places.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going to stop here for a quick break. And when we come back, we'll see how the author, Frank Stranges, enters this picture. So, we'll be right back after this.
Yes, be ready for strangest things.
Fuck you. Hey, Kevin here. Hope you're enjoying the episode.
Hey, who are you talking to, Kevin?
Listeners of our shows. I also want to let them know that if they're enjoying what we've been doing, they can support us on Patreon.
Oh, Patreon. Were you going to tell them about the early episodes? Also, Patreon-exclusive episodes that can be found there, too?
Well, yeah, I was going to do the
whole yeah, and then there's the other cool stuff, including art, merch for subscribers, like tote bags, hoodies, shirts, mugs.
Yeah, and
can you believe people could support us for only $5 a month? You're definitely going to mention that, too, right?
I was. Support Supernatural Selection and the Distraction Hole on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. Visit patreon.supernaturalselectionpod.com to learn more and get started today.
So does Strangest Things have Vecna Thor?
And we're back.
I'm so glad that we returned on that joke.
God damn it. How are you guys feeling so far about our interplanetary tourist here?
Yeah.
Smug. Oh, yeah. I was going to say smug Venusian fuck.
Yeah. You know, everybody talks a lot in the book about how great he is, and I'm sitting here going, what a rude son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, things are about to get interesting as the author of our main source enters the picture. Emphasis on the picture. So, before the break, I mentioned that Val, Don, Jill, and Tanya had their pictures taken at a UFO meeting in New Jersey. Now, these photos made the rounds in UFO groups since they didn't try to hide who they were. And this means that the pictures would eventually end up in the hands of one, quote, Dr. Mr. Frank Stranges.
Now, I hate to correct you on this, but it was actually Reverend Dr. Mr. Frank Strange's PhD Esquire the Third in Knuckles.
Okay. I need to point out I didn't have the add-on for the cartridge, so it didn't have Knuckles. But you are right. He is a reverend. Or he's an evangelist, anyway. Now, before we get to how Stranges met Val, we need to talk about the man himself. First, you'll note that I used air quotes on doctor.
Oh, they can't see you use air quotes,
But I did use air quotes.
We could feel them through the internet.
I was mentally projecting the air quotes. Now, Frank claimed to have multiple PhDs from various colleges, but he either didn't attend those colleges, or the colleges he did attend don't offer PhD programs. So, Frank claimed to have worked with the U.S. Marshals and the FBI and to have had top security clearance. Both of these claims are false. In fact, they are so false that J. Edgar Hoover had a file on him with notes that the man needed to be, quote, dissuaded from these claims.
Break his knees, boys, and get me my little blue dress.
God, fucking Hoover.
Yeah, he sucked.
Oh, yeah, man. Right up there with Nixon and Kissinger. So, Stranges also claimed to be a leader in NICAP, which maybe you've heard of them, the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomenon.
Oh, NICAP, not NIQUIL.
Or Nightcap. So, Frank Stranges had merely joined NICAP, and as soon as they got a clue as to the kind of person he was, his membership fee was refunded and his membership was canceled. This, of course, didn't stop him from claiming to be a leader at NICAP, of course.
Well, what are they going to do? Kick him out?
Well, I mean, they already did. There's not much you can do.
Yeah.
Now, Stranges also wrote a book before this called Flying Saucerama.
I love that title.
Which is the most goddamn Futurama fucking title. And he also made a film called Phenomenon 7.7. Both of which are poo-pooed upon in UFO circles.
Yeah, I was going to say Phenomenon 7.7 sounds like a prequel to THX 1138.
It kind of does. Now, Stranges is mostly known as an evangelist, though, and a speaker at UFO events and churches, and he remained active until his death in 2008. Rest in piss. So, Val had started working with a, quote, Nancy Warren in the Pentagon, which, that's a name I've heard before thanks to Mysterious Universe. But he trusted her because she was such a good Christian, and he could see into her heart. So it was Nancy who approached Stranges. In his talks at churches and UFO meetings, Stranges had been using the photos of Val and company to discuss the presence of aliens on Earth. And after one meeting in particular, Nancy asked if he'd like to meet the man in the photos, to which he replied, absolutely.
My, who is this delectable Chad from beyond the stars?
Oh my God. So, Christmas week, 1959, Frank was driven to the Pentagon by Nancy to meet Val. They made it through security as Val used his power of positive thinking to make security think that Frank had a Pentagon ID badge on his jacket.
So two things. Number one, the Pentagon does not sound very secure.
I've noticed.
Yeah. And then also, thank you for proving the war on Christmas is real, Kevin. It all began when they took away Christmas week from us all.
Mike?
Yeah.
Do you think this could happen? Like getting through the Pentagon all the way?
I mean, if you have special mind powers, anything's possible.
That's fair. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a fucking Jesus psychic, I guess you can. So,
I mean, you're making shit up. You might as well be able to, shoot for the moon.
Yeah, that's true. So,
Val, is a Jesus psychic approaching the Godhead? Is that what's going on there?
We're gonna get to something that's very close to that. We're getting there. So, Val greeted Frank warmly with a handshake, and at this point, it's important to note, Strangus makes a huge deal.
Just
huge deal.
Hugest deal.
The bigliest. Out of the fact that Valiant's skin is as smooth and soft as a baby's. But that his grip showed a strength that communicated his inner character and his manliness.
Okay, that's a lot to infer from someone having smooth yet strong hands.
Yeah, and frankly,
you have the grip of a strong baby.
No, frankly, I think Strangus fucking fell head over heels in love at this moment. Given the way he gushes over this man for the rest of the fucking book.
Look,
go ahead, Mike.
Say I've shaken hands with like people that were lawyers like all their lives, and you could just tell that they've never like done anything manual in their whole lives. And it's kind of gross. It's like I don't know. It's just so soft and weak, and I don't know.
Mike, never shake my hand.
I mean, that's why I take a grater to my hand once a week.
What's that, David?
Oh, that's why I take a grater to my hand once a week just to keep up appearances.
But no, I'm talking about it's like there's this one guy that comes in the store, and he wanted to shake my hand once. I was like, fine, I guess. And it was like shaking hands with
beef.
I don't know. No, it was
raw beef.
It was like marshmallow bubble gum or something. It's just kind of soft.
It was at least
yielding.
Was it at least dry?
Well, yeah, it wasn't like sweaty or anything, but it was. It's
now imagine if it was sopping wet.
Oh God! Shut up. God.
Also, I also do want to return to my earlier statement of my, who is this delicious Chad from Beyond the Stars? Again, he clearly fell in love with this guy.
Oh yeah, no, that's a given. So during this meeting, Val shows off his spacesuit to Frank, who has apparently fucking never seen LeMay before. He shows him that there's no zipper. You just wave your hand over the front of it.
I'm nude, I'm clothed, I'm nude, I'm clothed, I'm nude, I'm clothed.
Please, sir, I can only be so erect.
I have to go to the bathroom, wave hand over crotch, penis out.
Yeah, it's like the Silverhawks mask.
It's a glory hole jumpsuit.
Yeah. So, after playing with his clothes, Valiant reveals his true purpose in coming to Earth. Valiant Thor and his crew were missionaries.
Oh, it's not pussy?
You fucking wish. You wish it was a weird fucking space sex
We came
store.
from Venus to fuck.
They were here to bring us all back to the Lord because we had strayed so far from God's path, and that he was going to use Frank as one of his instruments.
Play me like a flute, Valiant Thor.
Kind of like, I don't know, a disciple? Just saying. So, as Valiant spoke Bible quotes and praised Jesus, Strangus, and I'm quoting the book here, heart burned within me and tears filled my eyes.
Now, I've been to a Billy Graham revival, and this tracks with what I saw there.
Really?
Yes.
My dad went to one back in the 50s, so...
Yeah, I think it was probably around 2012.
Yeah?
When I saw it. It was at, It wasn't Dodger Stadium. I think it might have been the Padres Stadium. But yeah, it was an experience.
Well, my dad saw him in a tent up where the North Park Mall is now. And
are we playing like hipster version of seeing?
No, I'm just saying
here?
that as opposed to that, my dad was bored off his ass. So, so at this point, Frank asks Val, what would he do if the military prevented him from leaving? And I quote Stranger in the Pentagon here. He simply stated, Frank, do you remember one day after Jesus rose from the dead? He had gone in search of several of his followers. They closed themselves in a locked room, and suddenly they saw Jesus standing in the very midst of them. He then smiled and looked at me as if to imply, need I say more?
Then Frank whispered, Jesus Christ, and Valiant slyly tapped the side of his own nose, winking.
Seriously, though, the implication there is, I'm Jesus. I mean, Val says he worships Jesus, but anyway, we'll get to that later. It's such a huge deal later. So on March 16th, 1960, after multiple meetings with Eisenhower and his people that went nowhere, Valiant Thor dematerialized from his room in the Pentagon and reassembled himself on Victor 1, and then he poochied his way back to fucking Venus. He didn't stay there too long, though, because the council said he still had work to do on Earth, in secret.
Of course.
So, before leaving Earth, Val warned his friends and followers to beware.
Beware!
Not all UFOs are Venusians. Some are Nazis from the South Pole.
What?
Some are other aliens that are not Christians.
Like maybe they're, I don't know, atheists. Dirty atheists.
I'm not going to say what he probably means. And some are literally Satan from the hollow earth. So, just watch yourself, I guess.
Oh, and fuck the Lyrans. We out.
Fuck them cat bitches. Mike, you okay there?
My brain has throttled me, but other than that.
I just picture Mike's brain just like punching at the walls of his skull like, let me out.
I'm picturing that graphic from Hitchhiker's Guide where his lower intestine just jumps up and strangles his brain. So, Val returned very quickly and began setting up a network of Christians all over the world with holographic communication devices to help spread the word of Jesus Christ and to help guide society toward peaceful Venusian socialism. And his orders from the council were as follows. 1. To mingle with and become as Earth people. 2. To work and to work and labor in Earth enterprises. 3. To help those who encountered possible threat or danger while striving for world peace. 4. To give them advice and guidance. 5. To entrust with superior knowledge those who have proven themselves. And 6. Divulge the existence of their mission to the collective national leaders of Earth only when the time is right.
Oh, you're missing 7.
Hmm?
It was to figure out the identity of the 11 herbs and spices.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's probably just allspice.
Probably. Yeah, allspice.
It's not baby spice.
No comment. So, 1 year later, so 1961, in Beverly Hills.
That's where I want to be.
Yep.
Sorry.
Frank was driving along when Valiant Thor materialized in the backseat of his car.
That would cause someone to crash. He should at least announce it first.
I hope he was at a red light.
Yeah, imagine flying 60 miles an hour down the interstate and then all of a sudden.
And then just, hi, Frank. Ah!
Yeah.
So,
bueno.
Yeah. So this is when Val started showing up at random times while Frank was driving and basically just made small talk asking how life was going.
So it's just basically the scene from Puma Man when, like, he pings into the fire truck?
Yeah, and the guy's like, what are you again, the Sandwich Man? Yeah, no, it was fucking my favorite scene in the whole movie. Like, we're supposed to know who the fucking fireman is.
I'm in the fire truck for USA Up All Night.
God.
The Puma Man.
The Puma, yes, Puma Man. He flies like a moron. Anyway,
Pumas.
the Puma Man. Yeah, we're not Misties. Me and David aren't Misties. Don't know what you're talking about.
I'm so tempted to just rattle off more quotes, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, let's not. An egg. Oh, it's Donald Pleasance. So, eventually, he would let Frank know about the communications bases he was setting up in people's houses. Most of them in Nevada and California, which is, funnily enough, where Frank spent a lot of time. So, it's at this point in our story, show regulars, the Men in Black, start showing up in The Strangest Life. And it started on a trip to Germany to speak at a UFO conference.
God, could you imagine anything gloomier than a 1960s German UFO conference?
Hello, we would like to welcome to the stage some very boring people. Anyway.
We hope you all have fun, but not too much fun.
There shall be no humor.
Maybe no fun at all.
So, Stranges in the book makes a big deal about the guests, and I have never heard a single one of these people before except for Eric Von Daniken.
Oh, okay.
Which is fuck Eric Von Daniken. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, while Frank was enjoying some tomato soup by himself in a restaurant...
How very German.
Yes. Two guys in black suits show up at his table, and they keep him from eating by asking him a bunch of questions about Valiant Thor. What's he like? Where is he now? What did he talk about?
Like, I'm more alarmed by ordering tomato soup at a restaurant, and I say that as a fan of tomato soup. That's like a home soup.
I'm more alarmed with him ordering tomato soup in a restaurant in Germany.
You know, and was the MIB's whole plan just to make his soup cold?
There is a plan for the soup. But
your soup is cold?
We have made your soup cold. Can I have your spoon? But the thing is about this, like, it's like when we went to when you go to New Orleans, and instead of eating at one of the amazing restaurants, you go to Arby's.
Mm-hmm. Or in The Office when Michael goes to New York and he wants to get himself a New York slice and he goes to Sbarro.
Yes. Anyway, so the waiter comes up while they're talking to him, and he told Frank he had a phone call. And it turns out it's a guy from Munich who's like, "Yeah, when will you be getting here for your appearance here?" And when Frank gets back to the table, he finds that the men are gone. And he finally gets to eat his fucking soup.
So it's gazpacho at this point.
Yes, it's also poisoned.
Whoa.
Oh, no.
A burning ran down Frank's throat, and he started freaking out. So he tells his he told his translator what happened. So they rushed to the car as Frank started bleeding from the fucking mouth.
Oh, shit.
So, where does the translator take him? That's right, back to the hotel room.
Well, I mean, this is Cold War Germany. The chances of each room having treatments for poison seems pretty high if spy movies have taught me anything.
You know what? I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. So, The translator took some white powder out of his pocket.
Here, try some anthrax to counteract that poison.
But he mixes it in a glass of water, and he made Frank drink it. And after this, Frank fell asleep. The end. He died. No. So when Frank woke up, he felt fantastic. He said he felt like a new child again, which is an odd thing to say if you ask me.
Sounds like someone tried cocaine for the first time.
I said he felt like a child, not like he could climb a skyscraper. So, at this point, the phone rang, and it was Valiant Thor. saying he'd warned him to be careful.
When?
And that's it. Probably during one of their many in-the-car conversations.
Yeah, one of the red light stops. Just ping, watch out.
And that's it. That's all that comes of that. No cops, no, I'm going to send Don out to watch your back, not a fucking sausage. Just, you fucked up.
Wow.
Yeah. So let's jump ahead a bit. June 5th, 1968. You guys know what happened on that day? Mike?
Nope.
Well, first off, Robert F. Kennedy Sr. was assassinated by Sirhan Sirhan.
Gesundheit.
Little topical with RFK here. Second, Frank Strange's got to watch the damn thing happen live in a UFO.
It was an out-of-this-world experience.
There are times, David, I wish you were in the room with me so I could throw something at you. So, Frank got a call that morning from Val telling him to meet him at the San Diego airport. And once there, Val pulls up in a car and picks up Frank, and they drove to San Felipe in Sonora, Mexico, with no problems at the border.
Man, it's wild to think about when the border wasn't politicized, but this isn't that sort of podcast, so I'll just kind of leave it at that.
Yeah, around this time, one of my former bosses was a drug mule working for the cartels and would just go down there and have lost weekends drinking. What's that stuff we started carrying at the store, Mike? The soda water type stuff with the flavoring.
Oh, the Topo Chico?
Topo Chico and tequila. He would just buy that and just get shit-faced for like a whole weekend.
Some of the stories I fucking hear from you, man.
I know. I've not lived a great life, but I know a lot of people that have had interesting things happen. So anyway, they get there, they go behind a restaurant, and they take a speedboat out away from the coast, where Victor 1 is hovering over the water, just there.
Was this international waters?
Probably.
You know shit's gonna go down.
There's a monkey knife fight on top of the fucking ship.
Woo, that's like the fourth Simpsons reference tonight.
There's a lot of them today, yeah. So, after boarding the ship, Frank was run through a sanitization system that temporarily cured his bad eyesight, but only while he was on the ship.
What a dick.
That's a real dick move.
Yeah, no, that is like asshole alien maneuver number 1. So they also made him strip naked and put on some baggy white overalls. And I'm just picturing this chubby schlub running around dressed like a space redneck.
Onesies of the gods.
Oh, man. So he was then taken to a big room with a giant TV. And I'm just picturing like a giant Zenith from 1968, you know, in his imagination. And Val explains that he knows Bobby Kennedy. And he also warned him not to run for president this year. So they turn on the giant TV and just sit there and watched Bobby Kennedy get murdered while Val is going, hey, you know, I warned him that Jesus didn't want him to run right now.
Jesus sends his regards.
Jesus is a hardcore dude sometimes. So, after this, Val took everyone into a giant meeting hall.
I thought you were going to say meat grinder.
I wish. All 200 crew of the ship were there.
Jesus.
And Val conducted a sermon about the glory of Jesus Christ and how blessed they were.
You know who wasn't blessed on that day?
Bobby Kennedy.
Fuck.
Also want to point out and remind everybody, hey, remember Frank Stranges is an evangelist? Anyway, after the sermon, they were all fed a meal of, quote, high protein and a green drink that tasted like papaya. So, finally, Frank was taken on a tour of Victor 1, where Valiant and his second-in-command, Teal, continually stressed that they were all Christians and they had service every single morning before a briefing, and then I guess they watched fucking political assassinations on the big screen.
You know, like true Americans.
Mike, that's what you do, right?
Oh, for real, yeah.
Yeah. You go to service, you have a meeting, then you watch somebody get fucking murdered.
Sure.
Okay. So Frank describes the interior of the ship as having no sharp corners or edges, and walking on the floors was like walking on fluffy clouds. Now, at one point, Frank had to take a shit.
Okay.
So, while doing so, he realized there was no toilet paper. And before he could panic, Valiant Thor telepathically told him about the buttons which activated the space bidet.
What about the space benite?
God damn it. After coming out of the bathroom, Frank realized that the entire 200-person crew had been psychically watching him take a shit.
They even had it up on the big assassination TV, too.
I just, like, they just watched him take a shit, and when he came out, they all laughed at him. I know this has been a lot to cover, so let's take one more break before we head into the home stretch, okay?
Yeah, speaking of taking a shit.
Oh, boy.
Hey, man, what's got you off in your phone there?
Oh, just going through all the funny Mothman memes and supernatural shit posts I've been wanting to share. I just don't know where to put the posts yet.
Don't you know about the Supernatural Selection Discord?
We have a Discord?
Yeah, for years, dude. Where have you been?
Can people chat with the hosts and get previews of upcoming episodes and generally post funny shit as much as they want with other listeners?
I mean, if that's your bag. I mean, personally, I wouldn't do that, but there are even live streaming events for the shows there, too. You've been in a few. How do you not know this stuff?
It must have been my doppelganger. How do I get into the Discord?
It's easy. Just visit discord.supernaturalselectionpod.com. Now say that 3 times fast.
Well, that's perfect. Now I can share 3 terabytes of Hollow Earth memes. Get it? Terabytes.
Never mind. Forget I said anything. Just don't do that. You should definitely not visit discord.supernaturalselectionpod.com to join the Discord. We don't want you there.
Too late. I'm already posting my alien abduction fan fiction with the general chat.
Join the hosts and listeners of Supernatural Selection on the official Discord. Just visit discord.supernaturalselectionpod.com.
And we're back. So, how do you guys feel about Valiant Thor and his plan for your life?
Yeah.
I'm just picturing like, no, Frank, we needed to watch you poop. It's for Venusian Christian Science.
God, can you imagine Venusian Christian scientists?
I mean, we don't have to imagine it. We just learned about it.
That's true. Good point. So, after these visits started and Frank started going to Victor 1 several times, Frank was accosted by the Men in Black 2 more times, at least.
Shit.
I know this is going to be great. Give me your pen.
You know, and that's the thing. Like, with the Men in Black, it's ultimately kind of like harmless shit. It's like prankster shit.
Typically, yes. But of course, with Frank, it is not harmless. Now, this first incident was in Las Vegas in 1974, which is probably when the mob was still running Vegas. Frank had just landed at the airport and was met by a car driven by guys in black suits in a black Cadillac. And, like an idiot, Frank thought Val sent him to pick him up.
Now, he didn't notice the cannoli next to him?
No, apparently he did not. So, these guys took off with Frank in the back seat, flanked by 2 goons. And the driver was smoking a cigar, which is when Frank realized he was in trouble because Venusians don't smoke.
You know, they live that straight edge lifestyle, X's on their hands and everything.
Oh, yeah, great. I hate to see those guys at raves. Because, boy, they're all up in your face. Anyway, after a few blocks, they pulled over and ordered Frank out of the car. They were at the desert, apparently, by this point. And they proceed to kick him to the ground, and then they jump him.
Okay, this still sounds like the Mafia.
Kind of does. So, Frank then, and I'm not making this up, called upon the name of the Lord Jesus Christ and proceeded to use fucking kung fu to pummel his attackers, breaking noses and taking names.
So I've heard of the Stations of the Cross, but the 4 Deadly Arts of the Cross?
You never heard of the 36 Chambers? So suddenly, as the guys are starting to fight back again, a white Cadillac screeches to a halt. And out jumps Don from Val's spaceship. Now, Don pulls the driver of the black Cadillac out of the car by phasing him through solid matter.
Interesting trick if you can pull it off.
I know. Then he uses his psychic Jesus powers to send the 3 men and their car to hell.
Oh, that easy, huh?
Just dismisses them to hell, which again is in the Hollow Earth.
Well, of course.
I have no idea how to write a joke for this part of the story. I'm just fucking stunned.
And I mean this could literally be a sequence in a Doctor Strange movie.
It kind of could. And like I said before the show, this whole thing, Valiant Thor and Doctor Strange's just sounds like a Marvel team-up issue. So after this, Frank was taken to Victor 1 for a physical checkup and was healed of his injuries. And then was told that there was going to be a gasoline crisis coming, so he better gas up.
We've come to Earth to warn you about peak oil.
Couldn't you just give him some, psychic Jesus gas?
Give him some fucking ration coupons or something? I don't know. So this last Men in Black incident that is in the book was from April 11th, 1985. This version of the book was revised in 1991, so... Frank and his wife were driving along after leaving Hoover Dam when a car materialized in front of them.
Oh, it happens sometimes.
Causing Frank to slam the brakes, and then the car behind them slammed into them, and Frank was paralyzed from the neck down.
He was fucking married?
Yeah, it comes out of left field, don't it? Yeah, no, him, his wife, his kids, they were all in Germany and shit, but there's no reason to bring it up. Yeah.
Wow, this is the only time that she is mentioned.
Yep. But she was in Germany with him, but didn't go to the restaurant with him to eat tomato soup.
Yeah. Well, that's a man's business, apparently.
Apparently. Good Christian man's business is tomato soup in Germany.
To eat tomato soup alone.
Yes. So, again, Frank paralyzed from the neck down. They were rushed to the hospital, and as Frank lay there in bed, unable to move, in walked Valiant Thor.
To gloat?
No.
to the sound of the Bodyguard's theme song.
I can hear it. So, Valiant Thor walked in and prayed over him and sang.
Is he fucking Tom Bombadil?
Did you lay hands upon him?
Yes, and I want to believe that he did sing I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. Frank was immediately able to walk again and just got the fuck up and walked out of the hospital as 2 men under the employ of the Men in Black watched him with chagrin.
Shaking their fists in frustration as Frank congaed his way out of the ER.
I just want y'all to consider what I just told you for a second. Valiant Thor showed up and did a faith healing on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then he pulled chicken gizzards out of his stomach. No.
Nice.
So, that's kind of the end of his adventures with Valiant Thor for the most part, except for bullshit that he talked about on Coast to Coast. But we'll get to that in a bit. Now, before we really start closing this out, there's a few things I need to tell you about Valiant Thor, the man himself, and his ship, and Venus. So first off, Valiant Thor is, again, from Venus, and he lived underground with the rest of his people. He was built by God Almighty himself and given his mission personally by the Master, Jesus Christ, in a ceremony involving the Ring of Fire prayer.
Now, during that ceremony, as I understand it, is that as it goes down, 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 the flames get higher.
That's what I've heard too.
Yeah. And you fall into it typically.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more details to that, but it's incredibly stupid. So Venus.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so Venus.
From what I can gather,
Yes.
after finishing his mission on Earth, Jesus came to Venus to preach the gospel underground where he probably wasn't nailed to anything.
No, this time it was magma.
Magma. So, the thing is, by this logic, that means that Jesus was also capable of traveling to North America to preach to Native Americans.
Oh, it validates Mormons.
Yeah, which means, by Valiant Thor's own logic, the teachings of the Latter-day Saints are correct. You do get your own planet when you die, and Mormonism is the one true religion. I'm going to let that stew for a minute.
I wouldn't say one true, but it lays grants validity to it.
Like, look, you already gave us an alien missionary action scene. Like, we've already crossed the Rubicon here.
That's true. It's very seldom we have an episode with an action sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Venus is also, of course, again, completely Christian and has entire ecosystems underground. Everything there has an Earth equivalent because apparently God ran out of ideas after making Earth.
I mean, I would imagine creating the universe is hard work. Can't blame the guy for using a cosmic find and replace, to fill in some planets.
Motherfucker, it's worse than that. This is a palette swap like Final Fantasy. It's like, okay, tigers, but what a pink. I'm out of ideas. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. One of the angels, take over. I really got to shit.
This is Lucifer's time to shine.
Yes. You son of a bitch. Yeah. So, Victor 1 is a curious part of this. Now, from the description of the interior, it sounds like a fucking asylum. There's no sharp edges, padded floors and walls, prayer meetings. It's for patients, guys.
I mean, it could be a bouncy castle at, like, a Christian church.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I could see that, but I don't know when bouncy houses were invented. So,
yeah, that's a good question.
Mike?
Yeah.
When were bouncy houses invented?
I don't know.
You science-tician, you?
I mean, yeah. No, I have no idea.
No idea. Probably the 80s.
I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look it out.
You do.
Look it up.
All right.
1959.
Really?
Yeah, the first inflatable structure was designed in 1959 by John Scurlock in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
it could have actually been a bouncy castle then.
So I'm guessing that's what founded Spacewalk.
Huh. That's a thing there, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like I remember as a kid going to this thing called Spacewalk Fun Factory. And you could also rent Spacewalks as the big company that would bring a bouncy house or castle or whatever shit to your birthday party. But they had a whole child zoo, whatever you want to call it there. You could go and jump on things and look at things and weird shit.
I'm not sure how comfortable I am with the idea of a child zoo, but anyway. So, as for the power source, which I'm sure, Mike, you have been chomping at the bit to find out what powers this flying asylum.
Oh, no, I know exactly what powers it.
Do you? What?
Jesus.
No.
Oh.
Believe it or not, no.
Souls of the damned.
No, that's what powers me. So, Strange has said that Victor 1 was powered by, well, its giant vibrator.
That requires power, doesn't make power.
I know that, but it vibrates in such a way that it can slide around in the slippery ether surrounding the Earth and Venus.
It sounds like more of the engine than the what powers it.
I'd imagine Uranus provides a little resistance, but Victor 1 can eventually slip in.
Yeah.
Especially with, enough vibrating.
Well, you know how slippery that liquid hot magma can be. But
not really.
Bear in mind, he's an evangelist, not a scientangelist. So,
not a science-tician.
Yes, not a science-tician. Oh, and where is Victor 1 now?
Good question.
Indeed. It's invisible on the shores of Lake Mead.
Shit.
And it has a shield that kills insects and a fan that blows the insects away from the ground around it so you can't find it, so don't even try looking for it, you loser.
So the invention of the grocery store air doors are what truly matters in this twisted odyssey.
Yep, that's the major patent the Men in Black have from the movies, is the fucking air doors. Now, lastly, I mentioned the Ring of Fire prayer ceremony.
And Sir Johnny Cash, yes.
And I'm going to list it as written in Stranger in the Pentagon. But if you look it up online via Google or DuckDuckGo, preferably DuckDuckGo so you don't get AI suggestions, I find it on a lot of New Age websites. So, we're going to go over how to do the Ring of Fire ceremony and prayer. Because it's a whole ceremony.
Okay.
First, place a lighted white candle before you on a table or other flat surface. Be careful to place a dish or other object under the candle to catch any drips. 2. Under no circumstances should you permit anyone or anything to interrupt you while you are performing this ceremony.
Hey, honey, where's the candles? I need them. God damn it.
Damn it, I gotta start over. 3. Recite the Lord's Prayer. 4.
Rub-a-dub-dub. Thank God for the grub. I don't know the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah, I don't remember it either. It's Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy flame, maybe? We're dealing with the Ring of Fire.
Diddly, I don't know. Anyway, 4, pray the following prayer afterward without doubt in your heart. Believe that the God of creation is hearing you at the very moment that you are praying. Keep your eyes open as you pray, lifting your outstretched hands heavenwards. Look into the flame and maintain your full senses, knowing what you are doing at all times. Then, repeat aloud, Eternal Father, Creator of the universe, hear this day my petition. Surround me now with your divine ring of fire, the fire of your protection, the fire of your abundance, the fire of complete healing, the fire of divine abundance. I now command the hand of the Almighty God on my behalf. Let it be so this very moment in the blessed name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Excuse me, hang on.
Is that all still step 4?
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Now, as you look into the flame of the candle, place all your heartfelt desires as well as your problems into the flame. Mike, this is a flame in the void.
Okay.
Extinguish the candle and watch the smoke rising as to the nostrils of God as he receives your prayers.
In his nose.
In his nose. Do not remove yourself from the room for at least 3 full minutes. There. Now don't you feel great?
Yeah.
Instructions unclear. I currently have a candelabra up my ass.
God damn it, David, you did it wrong.
All that's really complicated, so I just prefer good food, good meat, good God, let's eat.
Man, that's my favorite prayer.
Mm-hmm.
So, Valiant Thor, since this book, has become a bit of a thing more recently. He's mentioned several times on Ancient Aliens and other, quote, docu-series or films. He was a character in American Horror Story a little while back. And again, he's the name of a band. Both of those facts made it really hard to do research. But he's also taken on this weird mythical status, kind of like the Count Saint Germain. People cite him in esoteric writings and woo-woo cults, and he's still popular in fringe UFO circles, which is the fringe of the fringe.
Mm-hmm.
And people still cite Strangus as a credible source for all this, leaving out his incredible penchant for lying.
like, look, man, Valiant Thor warned Bobby Kennedy, and he didn't listen, so, Valiant Thor's the good guy here.
Sure he is, him and his smug ass. But in the end, what has this amounted to? It basically led to a story. And it's a story that refuses to die. A story that defies its origins and becomes myth. And that's what the best myths are, really. Fun stories. But this one is by a fucking liar, so fuck Frank Stranges. I hope a demon is poking him in the nutsack in hell in the hollow earth. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I got nothing.
Wow. I killed Mike's brain.
I'm still reeling from the reveal that 200 people watched Frank poop, and it didn't appear to, establish some deep psychological trauma for him.
Yeah.
That said, I find Valiant Thor interesting as he's this kind of, inflection point where the worlds of UFOs, UAPs, they go from being mostly science and grounded by quasi-reality to becoming more of this, woo-woo New Age branch.
Mm-hmm.
Like without Valiant Thor, we don't get to, Indrid Cold and other figures who represent this more abstract and, honestly, often magical and religious strain of the euphonauts, right?
And I feel like euphonauts is the term to use for these guys.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Everything about this is dumb garbage, but I find it to be entertaining dumb garbage.
Yes, and the thing about this is there's books on Amazon. I tried to look up Valiant Thor on Kindle Unlimited, and you know something? There are a lot of books allegedly written by him with a, quote, co-author. New books about New Age stuff. Mm. And you're right, this is very semi-religious. It's very, very reminiscent of the contactee movement from the 50s. When everybody was from Uranus or Venus or Jupiter, and you go to the moon and you play with an alien dog and you come back home and tell everybody, they told me to get rid of the nukes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And it's so dumb, and it's so obviously fake, and yet we've got people saying it's real on the History Channel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what you're telling me is that back in the 50s, they had a ultra-Christian alien come down and tell them to get rid of the nukes, and we did not get rid of the nukes.
No, because we just got them. They were new, man. It's like asking a kid to put away a toy he just got.
But so here was this alien that was proof of Jesus and everything, and they didn't do what he said.
No.
Well, the only thing more powerful than Jesus is the military-industrial complex, so...
He's right. That is very true. Was it Truman or Ike that gave the speech warning about the military-industrial complex during his farewell address?
I wonder... I feel like it was Truman.
That makes sense. Ike was a fucking product of it.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I feel like it would have been Truman.
Yeah, fair. But So that's our episode on Valiant Thor and the big dumb liar that is Frank Strangus. And I hope you've enjoyed this, everybody.
That was a lot of fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, David. Mike, did you have fun?
To a certain degree.
How'd you like the action scene?
It was fine, I guess.
It's one of the only episodes where we have an action scene. It's great.
Yeah.
Could have used some more CGI.
More CGI.
I mean, there was that really sick moment where he makes the Marvel sparkly ring and the car and the three dudes go through it.
Yeah. You know, I would not have been surprised if Don had done that to get rid of the driver.
You just see Deadpool and Wolverine on the other side fighting Cassandra Nova. It would have been great.
Oh, yeah. And here's the thing I really need to stress about Frank Strangus, I forgot to bring up. As far as body type is concerned,
Okay.
I want you to imagine a shaved Stanton Friedman attempting kung fu and kicking someone's ass.
So we're talking about a waxed Danny DeVito.
Yes, we're talking about a somewhat taller Danny DeVito as the Penguin as far as shape goes. Like, you remember when he was wearing like the white bedclothes in the sewer? That with a business suit on top. Just throwing punches and doing kicks and shit. Wah, wah, wah. Like, this guy made Burgess Meredith look fucking healthy.
Oh, boy.
So, I don't know. I enjoyed it, but also this book pissed me off more than any of the others. Like, I didn't have as much trouble grasping it because I knew what it was. I knew exactly what it was. It is a preaching tool, and it's a man trying to square away his belief in UFOs with his Christian beliefs.
Yeah.
And failing miserably, but he did it anyway. And, that I'm fine with. It's the seriousness with which it's taken that pissed me off. Like, just Venus Jesus, the whole fucking thing. Anyway, I did enjoy this one, believe it or not. It wasn't like as soul-crushing as some of the ones I do. So, thanks everyone for listening. Before we go into the closing things, David, have you got anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I've been producing stuff again. So,
hell yeah.
Currently I am doing some posts on Medium. 31 days, 31 posts, 31 horror movies. That's going to be a ton of fun. I'm having a lot of fun with that. I'm actually like on a Rob Zombie kick with these first few.
Cool.
And then I'm also, a while back I had done that werewolf story. I am remixing it into a full-length novel. I am posting excerpts of it and everything like that. If you want to find this stuff, just go to... I don't have a landing page for it yet, so just go to hpcomics.com and I'll probably have something posted there.
There you go. Or you can join our Discord, and David is posting links in, I think, in your channel, your HP Comics channel, right?
Yeah.
So join our Discord. Speaking of, Mike, before we go on to that, have you got anything you'd like to draw attention to or plug?
I really should prepare for this more, so no, not at the moment.
Okay.
But thank you for asking.
Not a problem. Well, I'm going to say donate to some reputable charities to help relief with Asheville, North Carolina right now. They got turbo fucked by the hurricane, including one of the YouTubers Mike and I watch, Lazy Game Reviews, LGR. Clint's house has trees in it. His collection appears to be destroyed. And there are people just without homes there. So give to some charities, not the Red Cross.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, thank you everyone for listening. If you would like to learn more about the show, head to supernatpod.rocks. That is supernatpod.rocks. You can find a link to our Discord, our merch page, our Patreon, our contact form. We are still offering spots, $2 to advertise with the show per episode. We are not proud. Come on, Casper Mattresses. We want to make a deal with you.
Squarespace, hit us up. We use you for our website.
Yeah, seriously. Also, use fucking Squarespace. We don't have a code, but they're pretty fucking good.
I think we could probably get a referral code.
Yeah, probably. So
wait for the referral. Wait for the referral code before you get a website. There we go.
There you go. And get Casper Mattresses, the best mattresses to fuck a ghost on.
Jeez. Isn't he like a sick Victorian child? Well, he's the ghost of a sick Victorian child.
I always assumed he was Richie Rich.
Yeah. I saw that episode of The Simpsons as well.
Okay. Well, I got it before that, but still.
Yeah.
So, thanks again for listening. We will see you guys next week for a Weekend Weird. So until then, stay safe and stay frosty. Goodbye.
Nighty-night.
Gonna go beat up the men in black.
Tomato soup.
Open your heart to space, Jesus.
German tomato soup. And yes, praise be to space, Jesus.